From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's the T-Birds Coaches Show, bringing you game breakdowns, expert analysis, and exclusive interviews. Here's your host, Tom Myler.
Hello, T-Bird fans, and, well, do I really have to say it? Yes, it's another fantastic episode of Casper College Coaches Show. Joining with us, Coach Tom Parks. Welcome again, Coach.
Thank you.
We're excited to have you. We like you.
Thank you.
And you managed to have another great weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And, we're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about last week, of course. We got a play-in game in preparation for the Region 9 tournament. It's going to be exciting. So let's talk right into it. LCCC game. Still, you had two come back. You had Luak and Neverdon come back. And, well, they definitely made a difference, I feel like, especially Luak. Man, he was really contributing down low and getting some rebounds. Unfortunately, he did foul out kind of toward, 5 minutes left-ish?
Yeah, I think so.
And it was really fun to see him play and just everyone kind of get in there.
Yeah, it's probably not a joke. He probably needs to get this checked out, but his hands are always sweaty. Okay. We always talk to him about how he's always nervous, and I think he wants to do right. And
yeah, absolutely.
But even before practice, he'll come over and give me a high five, and it's dude, gross, and right? So now he comes up to me and he starts wiping his hands off before and so before the game we're in the locker room and all of us were just dude, you are so nervous, just relax, man, relax.
Yeah.
And I think it took just one offensive rebound and then he was good, and actually I feel since then, especially in practice, I think he's just been a lot better. I just think, again, he hasn't really had a bunch of reps. You combine probably way more reps than he's had the whole season combined into one game, and so I think he was able to prove some things to himself that I think we all knew he was capable of but hadn't really seen it, and so that was nice. But I do think he was very impactful in helping us win that game.
Yeah, yes, it was terrible that we had all these suspensions, but to have certain players that aren't necessarily starters come in and start and get significant playing time, it really was you've got some depth on the bench. You can say, hey, now I have confidence in you, seeing Camille Cardo, especially on Saturday, dropped 22. Luak, who also came in and did well and had a bunch of boards, and it's just yeah. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to Parker Davis, man. He just,
sure.
Especially against Eastern, man, and coming in and having, maybe 24 minutes and had 4 offensive rebounds.
Right.
Just dude, what are you doing? This is just, he's what, 6'1", 6'2", roughly?
Probably, yeah.
And he's just getting boards.
It's
great. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah, I think, he always played hard, but I think, him being one of the 4 guys that was not suspended at all, I think he realized, all right, what do I need to do? And we just talked about competing, but rebounding, as we talked about a million times, I think is the single most important factor in winning basketball games. And it doesn't really matter, his size. He just really, really competes, and so much about rebounding is effort. There is obviously more things to it, understanding where the basketball is going to come off based on where it was shot, or at least the probability, and so the higher up rebounders you get, I think they're special in all those areas. But I think the first thing is just going after the ball, and just attempting to rebound and just getting in there and mixing it up. And sometimes the ball is going to bounce your way, sometimes it won't. But Parker Davis just took on that role of I'm just going to go every single time and see what happens. And he was definitely impactful in that stretch where we've had guys out, and then again coming in Saturday, playing against a really scrappy team. I thought he matched their energy and really competed. So I think we feel comfortable as a staff, if we're not making those plays, we know who to have in the game. He's just a winner. So it's nice to have him, and it's nice that he took on that role.
Absolutely. And speaking of winning, let's dive a little bit more in depth here. So the LCCC game, you have to go into overtime. You win 114-109. I'm not gonna lie, Coach. I watched that at home, and I was sweating, and my heart rate was racing. It's I normally have a resting heart rate of 50. It's at 80. I'm just you're killing me. Just win. Just, oh man, what a stressful game. I can't imagine how you were feeling there on the sideline. Just come on, guys, just go. But credit to both teams. LCCC, I think Coulter had dropped 41. They had another guy at 24, and just, granted, Abdul, shout out to him, broke, I believe, the single game most scoring, however you want to say that, single highest scoring game, 49, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, he scored the most points in a game. There you go.
Right, yeah, there you go. Yeah, he did.
So, what were your thoughts? How stressed were you?
Honestly, this is going to sound crazy, but not really at all. Huh. And I think it's because I knew that there was really no impact that result was going to have on like our seating and things like that. And I knew that we were already, players down, starters down, a lot of like length, athleticism, and size down. And so I don't know. Everyone, that was the weirdest thing, is like I'm walking off the court and I'm going up to talk to Jack after the game, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, like, oh man, I just like, there was fans that were like still in their seats and they're like, I'm just not ready to get up yet, And I'm just like I was a little confused, because normally I feel like I feel way more stress and pressure in those situations, and I didn't. So I'm glad I helped. Hopefully people wound down and then eventually had a very great night of sleep. And so I would like to say you're welcome to all those people that happened to. But I don't know, like I was kind of taking it all in, especially like Abdul's performance, and it's just it's tough, because I know the hourglass of this team is running out regardless of when it is, even if it's a month, from, I guess 3 weeks from now in Hutchinson, Kansas, like it's still going to run out, and a lot of these guys, whether they score 49 or whether they're guys that get in for 2 minutes, I mean, they've all have had an impact on my life and me as a human and me as a coach. And so, I'm trying to take in all those moments and practice in the games, because time is limited. So, I don't know. I wasn't nearly as stressed as what I think everyone else was.
Well, and like I said, it surprises me very much, just because I feel like, in the first half you handled it very well, and then LCCC, man, made quite an adjustment.
Right.
And they started really attacking the hoop. They really started pressuring Abdul, which, I mean, once again, credit shows you how great Abdul is, that he still, despite all that pressure and that he managed to score so much. But it's just like LCCC really was like, okay, now we know how to attack this team, and really made the adjustments well. I mean, it helped, though, that you went to the line 40 times.
Yeah.
So, and you made, I think it was just over 70% of those, and that really helped keep you in the game. But, I mean, rebounds were similar. Looking at the numbers, just, I don't know. It's kind of feels good knowing that you won that game.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely good with a win. Even though it wouldn't have mattered, I still want to win.
Absolutely. So there's that one. Go to Eastern. Man, they're just a scrappy team. I don't know what it is about Eastern, but, man, they are just dangerous. Because I think right now there's 7th seed, and we'll talk about how we have to play them again for the third time. And it's never, as we know, never easy to play for a third time. But, man, they just hung in there the whole time. They played great defense. Granted, our team was finally fully back, and you could kind of tell, that week of not really playing together kind of made an impact.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had been preparing so much for, like, how to win games with different rosters and even different people on our team. And so it was one of those things where I don't really think we had a great amount of practice time, like, preparing for them. We were kind of just like, all right, let's, get through Central game. Let's get through the LCCC game. And then we'll have everyone back and we'll play basketball game. And so, but I mean, I've said this, man, I really like that Eastern team. I mean, I think that their coach is doing a phenomenal job in year one. I heard a rumor that pretty much everybody was already signed to that team before he got there. And I would say that, like, they just play really, really hard. I think if they can kind of keep improving and trying to recruit even more talent, like if they can play that hard, I mean, I think they're going to be a really good Region 9 team and somebody you definitely don't want to see. I don't want to see him, in a few days, but I sure as heck wouldn't want to see him in a couple years. But, yeah, I mean, they're just scrappy. They play hard. They turn teams over. They just don't quit. I mean, you can look at their entire schedule. There were some early games where, some teams kind of blew them out. But, like, recently, most of the games are fairly close, and then the scores vary. Obviously they want to play a little bit slower pace, but they do attack in transition. They do, convert off turnovers. And other than that, they want to come down and kind of run some stuff. So they did a really good job at dictating the pace. But, again, I think it's their defense and their scrappiness, and they keep you out of a rhythm offensively.
Yep.
And so that's always hard to play against a team like that because I think the game is a game of rhythm, just especially on the offensive end. Like when you can pass, shot, and everything's just boom, 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 the chances of that shot going in are so much greater. And that's why we press, because it's like scrambling. Oh, I'm open for three. This kid's a good shooter, but they miss a lot of times because the rhythm's just off a little bit. They don't practice at that speed. They don't practice where they're not in rhythm. Anytime someone's in there doing a shooting drill, it's like you're catching the ball the same way, you're shooting the ball the same way, and so that's why when you throw a team off like that, they struggle. So I think we're doing a decent job at kind of trying to prepare our guys for this next time, but I think there's still a level of uncertainty because when you do play a team 3 times, it's like, are they going to come out and do something different? And that's always kind of in the back of your mind. So you kind of have to dabble in a couple extra things just to make sure that you cover all your bases.
Yeah, I mean, you said yourself, this team is dangerous, and that was the best word to describe it, of just out of your rhythm. Because looking back at it, because I watched it again, it's just your offense didn't feel comfortable. It was something was off, and I think that was it. They just weren't in rhythm, and there was probably a lot of factors with it of just having to got everyone back, so you're having to figure out that rhythm again, which is unfortunate because I felt like before the suspension, especially with the Northwest game, it's like, oh yeah, we're starting to roll and click.
Yeah.
You got to find it again, and it's just like, oh, okay, we can do it. You got another playing game, which we talked to Dwight about this one about, as a coach, it's nice having a bye. You can rest your players, get that healthy, but it's also kind of nice to play. So it's not, oh, we're sitting for 10 days and then having to play again.
I think it's phenomenal to play if you win.
You're not wrong.
It's great to have that game, especially just with how long the break is.
Yeah.
Gillette played Saturday. They won't play again until the following Thursday. And again, you saw we had guys that, were practicing but not playing games, and they came back. And Ethan Connery was more tired than I think I've ever seen him. And it's not like he wasn't practicing every day. It's just you just get out. Rhythm is the word of the day, but you get out of your rhythm, right? And so, I don't know. I think it's one of those things I would have loved to buy, but I think you just kind of have to realize, as long as you can take care of business in your playing game, that playing game is a great thing because it just kind of alleviates this huge long break, where you're just kind of, you said, you're taking days off, but you still are practicing. I'm sorry, but I'm going to probably make some coaches mad, but I'm bored of practice right now.
Talking about practice.
I'm ready to just play the games, and I feel yes, there's areas we can get better in, and that's what we're working on. But how much better are you really going to get in a week? When you've been doing these things the whole year, so I don't know. I think that it's probably better to play that game, and to see something different. They doubled Abdul the whole game. I don't know what, I said, I don't know what they'll do, but they doubled Abdul. Every time he came off a ball screen, they doubled him. Anytime he kind of started isolating, they doubled him. That's stuff that we've seen throughout the year, but lots of teams still haven't done it. We've seen it maybe a handful of times, but we're 29 games in. So it's you're still practicing your other stuff more because the chances you see in it, who knows, a 20% chance. I don't know what chance there is we see it on Saturday, but like I said, we're going to try to be as prepared for everything as possible.
Yeah. And one thing I just want to point out before we kind of talk about Eastern again is the fact that they only went to the line. So they had 3 opportunities for 3 throws. That was it. 3. I don't think I've ever seen that before. The team played a fairly clean game. I was very impressed by that.
Yeah, and I think part of it is too how they play. And we zoned them for a good chunk of the game, especially in the second half. We still probably played more man, but they shoot a lot of mid-range jump shots. Mm-hmm. They shoot a lot of threes. They're not necessarily a team that really gets in the paint a ton. And so even the first time we played them, they only shot 5 free throws. So in 2 games, they're combined 8 free throws, And so I think that is part of the way that we're trying to guard them. I think that the other thing is that's just part of the way they play. We've got to figure out ways to shoot more free throws. I think that's that's something that I think the more we work the ball on offense, the more free throws, because eventually, like, they do foul, but they're not going to foul like one person trying to go off the dribble, with no passes. So I think there's just some things that we've really been emphasizing. That's one of them this week.
So, I mean, do we even really need to talk about this? Is going to be the third time we play Eastern with this playing game. I guess if you want to repeat again.
Rebounding.
It sounds like you want to get to the stripe a little bit more, the free throw line.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you're trying to get to where it's like, hey, this is what we need to work on, or just even, hey, we need to get a coherent team back?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part. I mean, practice has been really good, and I think part of it is, again, having that group together. I think some of the guys, like, not to say they didn't practice hard during that stretch, but it was kind of like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even on shoot around, like, they'd come to shoot around, and then it's like, all right, guys, like, see you tomorrow, And so it was just kind of a weird situation. I think we were all in. But I think when it comes down to playoff basketball, it's like, who's going to be the team that plays the hardest? Who's going to be the team that rebounds the best? And I think, I mean, for everybody, but even more specific to Eastern, like, we just have to take care of the basketball. We didn't have a ton of turnovers. It's just they scored 65 points and we turned it over, I think, 16 times, but our pace wasn't great. And I think a lot of those led to scoring opportunities for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they do capitalize off of turnovers. So in transition defense too, even though they're not like, they're a half-court team, but they will look for these opportunities if you're slow getting back to make you pay. And they made us pay a couple times when we had some quick shots and we didn't have great balance getting back in transition. So probably those things.
Love it. Well, we love having you in, Coach. We're super excited. T-Bird fans, that is going to be at home at 2 o'clock here, the Swede. We love it. We're excited. Yeah, you're going to have to play a third time, but you know what? I feel like just good preparation, we're good to go. Yeah,
and this department is going to put out a sponsored Facebook ad.
Oh, we are?
I don't know. I threw that on the air so you had to. You know what I mean? So yeah, we're gonna
send out some emails.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna put out a sponsored Facebook ad so all your neighbors see, and because Casper is a place of the Facebook. I feel like, I feel like the Facebook marketplace, just your feed every day. Like, we need to get that to the people. So that's my plug for this department to do that, and I'm gonna talk more in depth off the air about those opportunities because they work.
Yes,
they work, and we're going to get people here.
Absolutely.
And we have a great concession stand with phenomenal nachos. They put the nachos in vertically.
Ooh, it gets more nachos.
So when you get more nachos, and you don't get those crazy soggy ones at the bottom.
It's terrible.
Because the cheese just lingers through all of them. And then you can have as many jalapenos on them as you want. There's no charge for the jalapenos. One time they gave me the jar. So if you don't like basketball but you like nachos, Saturday 2 p.m. we are serving nachos.
Or jalapenos and happen to have nachos on it.
Yes.
Love it. Well, thanks, Coach, for coming in. And T-Bird fans, we hope to see you next time.